Hey, welcome back to the podcast. This is Balasabas. Glad to have you here. I came across this article. I think it was from Yahoo Finance. I know who still reads Yahoo, but it came across my feed and looked at it and read it, and it was actually featured by Ben Cousins, who's a writer, I think, in one of the folks over at LinkedIn, and he wrote a piece around it as well. And basically, it was a piece on the headline saying 85% of workers want remote work in tug of war with employers, right? And basically, it says that 85% of workers want to continue working remotely. The pandemic has really changed the way that we would look at our work life and our work day, and really made us kind of look at what's really important to us. And I think work-life balance got really emphasized and magnified. A lot of people really kind of taking a real hard look at, what's important to them when it comes to their careers and work, and, where they want to be and what they're doing during the day and things like that. And, so somebody like myself who works remotely, I work remotely full time. We don't have an office. We don't have physical offices at Uscreen. We do have an office in Washington, D.C., but as you guys know, I'm based in Vancouver, Canada. And so our entire team, about 150 of us, we work remotely in 20 different countries, I think, 15 to 20 different countries all over the world. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a really, really awesome thing. And so I thought I'd share some of the things that really make remote work really amazing, but also some of the negatives, some of the downfalls of remote work. And the spoiler here, like I do stand behind remote work. I think it's just going to be the new normal. I'm finding and I'm hearing that remote work, the idea of being able to work remotely, is something that a lot of people are really honed in on when they're considering working at a company. They really want that opportunity to be able to work remotely. And if they can't, I've heard people walk away from opportunities, really great pay and all those things, and walk away from those things and walk away from that opportunity because they can't work remotely, because the employer wants them to work in the office. And, I've actually come across some friends who their companies have, allowed them to work remotely during the pandemic and up until recently, but have started to require their team members to come into the office, whether it's part-time or, sort of a hybrid, or completely 5 days a week back at the office. And a lot of people are considering, not returning and, looking at other opportunities. So some of the benefits, there's a few benefits. The first I find is, of course, the flexible schedule, right? Work-life balance. Like for me, I'm able to start early or start later. I'm able to take some time, a break during, the middle of the day, and go and work out, go to the gym, right? Run an errand, right? Do those things. Pick up my kids or drop them off in the morning. As long as I get my work done, I'm here, right? I'm working. This is my home office. There's also no commuting time or cost. This could be also a downfall, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But basically, I work here at home, and so there's no commute time. I don't have to travel. I don't have to sit in traffic. I don't have to spend money on gas and fuel and all those things. And so there's no commute time, and hence there's no cost. I can start my day, my work day, as early as I can get myself into the main floor where my home office is. There's the ability to customize and really work out my workspace and my environment. I really feel comfortable here. This is my workspace. I can turn it and decorate it and set up my equipment and my home office however I like, however makes me most productive, right? There's increased productivity and focus because of fewer distractions, right? Fewer distractions. There's nobody coming to my desk and sort of talking about the weekend or, doing small talk and things like that throughout the day, right? There's no distractions. I can unplug all my notifications on my computer. I can turn on some background music, some focus music, and I can get down and just do some, heads down work, right? In my opinion, there's also improved physical and mental health because of the reduced stress of commuting and the distractions and all those things. So improve physical and mental health. I'm able to, like I said, go to the gym or go for a walk in the neighborhood, right? Take a couple laps around the block and really make sure that, I feel well physically and mentally, right? Now, on the other side of the coin, there are definitely negatives from working from home. There's some drawbacks. It's not a perfect situation by any means. And again, this is not for everybody. Some people love and thrive in the office setting, right? People love that. Some people do. All right. So there's definitely some negatives. So the first is isolation and lack of social interaction with colleagues. This is something I feel once in a while, every now and then. As much as we, at Uscreen, we have something called donut meetings. And so basically we're on Slack, and there's a Slack app called Donut. And what it does is it randomly, if you participate, it randomly matches you up with somebody else in the organization, and sort of forces you to set up a donut meeting. It's just a virtual coffee, right? And so I've gotten to know a lot of our team members that way, right? People that I don't work with, regularly or daily or even cross-functionally, people that are just sort of outside of the realm of my day-to-day because of my role, right? And so, there's that. But I can imagine that for some folks that don't have that, maybe they have a smaller team, or there's just no sort of mechanics and programs set up for their company, if they're working remotely, for them to meet other team members on a regular basis. The other thing for me is I get to go to different conferences, and usually I'm not going to those conferences alone. I'm usually going with other team members from other cities, and so I'm able to spend time with them. Once a month I'll see somebody from my team, right, that may live in Atlanta or Alabama or New York or LA or DC or some other cities, and I get to see them in person. And so there's a bit of that fix that I'm able to see some of my team members regularly. But for folks, again, isolation and lack of social interaction with colleagues is definitely a downfall. Difficulty separating work and personal life. This is where it's really important to have boundaries in place, right? You need to set boundaries when you're working, when you stop, right? When I first started working remotely, this is a huge problem that I had, was that I couldn't cut things off and hey, it's time to clock out for the day, right? I found myself working longer hours than I normally did when I was in the office. And so it's really important for me, what's really helped is that I made it a priority, non-negotiable, that I would be done by dinner time. I would have dinner with my family every night, unless there was something super pressing, but 99% I would have dinner with my family. I would block time off for lunch, for a morning break, an afternoon break, go for a walk, right? I would block that off. And again, that would be totally non-negotiable, right? My team knew there's respect there, that there's boundaries there that are healthy, that they wouldn't book meetings during those times that I blocked off, right? So separating work life and your personal life, very, very important, okay? Next thing is technology and connectivity issues can cause frustrations and delays, right? So making sure that sometimes you're in a city, you're in a place in your area geographically, you just don't have good connection, and so that's going to be really tough. And so especially if you're working online, very difficult, right? So you need to make sure that you do have that. If you don't, it's going to be really difficult for you to work remotely. Some people will also feel that there's some limited opportunities for career growth when you're working remotely because you don't have visibility. It's harder to grow influence within your company when you don't have visibility, when you're not in the office every single day, people don't really know what you're doing. What are you working on? That sort of thing. How productive are you? And so for that reason, you do need to learn. If you're working remotely, you do need to learn these skills to be visible, to be reporting on the things that you're doing, to show, the tasks that you're doing, the projects you're working on, the initiatives you're starting, the progress, the results, all of those things. Reporting is very, very important so that you have career growth, right? On the same token, you also need to you need to understand how to be visible and to network, right? You need to network even remotely with people, your people leader, people, executives, other team members that are cross-functional to you. Very, very important. And then I would say you also, there's not really a negative, but you do need to have self-motivation and discipline to stay on task, right? Just because you're at home, I did say the benefit is that there's no distraction. It can also be distracting when you're at home, especially let's say if you have a family, right? When you're at home, people may think like, hey, you're not really working, you're home anyway. So, hey, can you do this? Hey, there's these things that we need to do, like checklists and chores and things like that. So you need to, again, have this conversation. If you're living alone, easy, probably a little easier. But if you have, your partner or you have a family, there's other people in the house. You need to probably have some type of designated space that's just your work space. The kitchen table is probably going to be really difficult if you have a family and people are running around you and you're trying to set up calls or get some focus time in. It's really difficult. For me, I'm pretty blessed to have my dedicated office space in the house, and so that really helps. And so having that really, really is important. And you then need to have also that discussion with your partner or your spouse or your family that, hey, I'm working. During these hours, I'm around, I'm here physically, but I'm working. So respect the space. And so, that's sort of my take with remote work. I'm really curious to hear if you work remotely, whether it's fully remote at home, or if you have a hybrid situation, or if you're back to the office full time as well. Let me know. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear your take on this. And as usual, make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram. And of course on YouTube as well. All right. Thanks for watching, listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.